Alright, we're on our first ride out in the open with Duke. He's looking around a lot more spirited, like, man, there's all kinds of stuff for me to do and get into. He's still kind of stopping, so that's good. He's not just trying to run off on us or do anything crazy. That's that good foundation we put. Just going to ride him around out here for a few minutes. See how he takes to the wide open. And if he can listen. I'm having to pull a little harder on him. Y'all can see he's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. Why am I in this big wide space? And still doing circles like in the round pen, but we want to kind of keep him the first few rides. You don't want a lot of straight out in the open yet, because that's when they finally, something catches their attention and they just kind of run off. So the first few rides on the outside, you do a lot of turning. Anytime they go to react at anything, you start turning. The first, let's say at least 3 rides outside, there's quite a bit of turning involved, not a whole lot of straight line action. And then it's also, you're having to re-soften them on the outside. It's like the new freedom kind of gives them, something clicks in their mind where, oh, I've got all this freedom, now I do what I want. And so you kind of got to go back to softening and getting them to listen again. And he's listening pretty good. I am having to pull a little harder when I'm turning right. And he's not flexing as good, so I want to get that going. I want to get him a little more flexy. His nose ain't coming around quite as much as it should when I'm turning him. So we're going to work on that. He needs to be flexing real good. Just because we come out here, don't mean, hey, you're in the open. Doesn't mean get stiff on me. You still want to stay flexible. So sometimes when you first get out here, it's like your first ride in your round pen, you got to go back to working on things just because their mind's kind of all over the place. We're staying in a small area today just to work on this, and for video purposes, I can't get too terribly far from the camera, or I can't talk, y'all can't hear me. But he's doing pretty good. He's still kind of wanting to play with that bit. He's gotten a lot better with that. He kind of still wants to stop a lot. So we did teach him to back. And now the slightest pull he feels in his mouth, he thinks I'm stopping to back. But in reality, what I'm trying to do here is turn his head around. And so he's, in that stage where he gets a little confused because all these new things at once. So you don't get on to him. You just, if he stops, you ask him to go, and then you go back to turning a little more. But the slightest little pull, he's thinking, okay, he wants me to stop and maybe back up. So we don't get on to them. They're learning so much so fast that it's just kind of confusing. There's going to be moments of confusion, and that's okay. It happens with us. It's like when you start a new job. Say you're a cashier and you're having to learn all the, okay, now I got to learn how to check out. Now I got to learn how to do a return. Now I got to learn how to do override. I mean, and it can get confusing the first few times learning all that stuff. They're just like us. We get confused, so do they. Don't get on to them about it. Don't scold them. Just, if he wants to stop, stop. Let's go back to what I was asking. And see, he's gotten to where he's not stopping as much. He's understanding that not all pulls mean stop. But this is good. He's learning, hey, I can be way out in the open. I don't have no fences taking me in. And he's still showing me that he can be controlled in that environment, which allows us to start really moving forward on all kinds of stuff. Because now that we're riding out here in the open, where he ain't got nothing to stop us, now it's just a lot of desensitizing riding. Getting him loose, flexed, getting to where he don't spook at everything, which we've done a lot of desensitizing since he's going to be a trail horse, and we continue to go back and desensitize. Once a week I go back on all the colts that I start. For the first 90 days, once a week I still desensitize. Even if they're not spooky at it, I still go through it anyway. You can never be too sure. And what we want is eventually we want that bomb-proof horse that everybody wants. Well, you ain't going to get that bomb-proof horse if you don't always remember that they need reminders of things that aren't going to hurt them. There's times where I've got an older horse where if he ain't seen something in a while, he might even spook to it. So I go back and even on the older horses, maybe once or twice a month. And then if they didn't do good with it, I'll do it for 3 days in a row. And then see how they do. And then if they got to where they were good, then I would do it the next week. And then the next week, if they did good with it, we would stop and wait another month or two. I wanted to stop and look around. Now I rode him for a little while in the round pen and warmed him up. And then brought him out here. We've been on him for a while now. We're not going to do much longer. Just got to build up his ride time still. And don't want him to get frustrated or anything to go south. So it's kind of on a hill. I like this ground here, so let's get him off. He's not sure about that little slope there, which he's going to get good with slopes because his whole property's at a slope. Whoa. There we go. We didn't lose our patience or manners. Back up. He's still doing everything I've taught him in the round pen outside. Good boy. Alright, we'll reassure him and we'll start riding around trees soon. We'll start going over logs and obstacles and start really desensitizing to the riding now that we know he's good on the outside. And we're not going to overexert him today. But thank y'all for watching Duke's first outside ride. And they'll get better and more exciting here soon.